your host on this channel. In this video, we will have our discussion on a very underrated or overlooked divisional chart, which is the D-11 chart, or which is also known as the Rudransh chart. Because friends, whether you go by the approach of all the modern day astrologers, or even if you will look at the categorization which has been mentioned in majority of the classical books, where they categorize all the divisional charts, like you talk about Shodash Varga divisional chart categorization and all of that, where they have included the Ascendant Chart, Hora chart, Drakana chart, Chaturtamsha chart, or the Saptayamsha chart, D9 chart, but they have not even included D11 chart as a part of that important categorization as well. Now friends, tell me about this thing. When we talk about success in today's day and age, like I'm not talking about the parameters and definition of success in 1850s or 1900s, where you just have to be intelligent, or you just have to be having strong qualification to be making money, or you have to be born in a wealthy family. Here in today's day and age, we are talking about that irrespective of the fact that how strong your first house lord is, like which can make you very competent, second house which can give you wealth, third house which can give you skill, but 11th house carries all the essential ingredients which are required to be successful in today's day and age, like the way you climb the ladder of success, association with the right set of important people, being progressive, being visionary. So that is the only reason, friends, like when our ancient sages, they were assigning attributes to all the houses. When they came to the 11th house, they actually allotted this house as the house of your wish fulfillment. Now definitely this is the house of gains and all sort of supplementary income, but this is also the house of wish fulfillment. And now friends, over here I want to make this thing very clear. See, you cannot only look at the 11th house only from the perspective of the financial gains. Now trust me, the priorities are different for different people. Now let's say, for example, if you are on a path of a spiritual elevation, and right at that time your 11th house, which becomes a very important auspicious planet for your rising sign as well, if you will get into the dasha of the 11th house lord, so all of the religious austerities put forth by you might also get materialized. I still remember at the time when I used to teach palmistry lessons in my channel, I used to mention this thing, that no matter if any important event has to take place in your life, and if you have to validate that and you have to see that from palmistry, so you will individually look at the fate line for career, heart line for the matters of love and romance, but during at that time you have to see the condition of the lifeline, because all the major events get validated from over there. So same way friends, 11th house becomes very important in our life in today's day and age, to be very precise. And we also have to study the corresponding divisional chart with this same house as well. So from the main ascendant chart, the corresponding 11th house energy, we always look at the D11 chart, which is also known as the Rudransh chart, in which we make 11 equal divisions of your Rashi chart, each being of 2 degree, 43 minutes and 38 seconds. Now friends, the only reason why this idea came to me today to make this video, because it's a holy auspicious Shravan month we are going through, and I was just coming back. It's a Monday today here at the time when I'm recording this video. So I was coming back from the temple and I was just contemplating on the topic on which I have to make a video. So I was just going through all the material, and suddenly this Rudransh Nam came in front of me. So I was like, okay, today I have to make video on this topic only. So okay friends, now coming to the important part of what all information do we get from the D11 chart. Does this chart only tells about the benefic aspect, or this chart also carries within itself some dark areas of the life as well? So definitely friends, because this chart is the microscopic analysis of your 11th house. So this chart will definitely tell about your profits, your gains, all sort of opportunities, prospects of how high you will rise in the life, and also the kind of policies and attitude you will opt for while progressing in the life. Now when we talk about which all parameters you have to study once you open the D11 divisional chart, so now friends, that's very simple. No matter which divisional chart you are studying, you have to give individual and most attention towards the first house and the first house lord. That in itself will tell you about how much strength does that area of life being represented by that divisional chart is carrying within itself. Now just because we are studying this chart in sync, in parallel with the 11th house energy of your main Rashi chart. So just if you want to know how high you will rise in the life and how much potential you have to amass good set of support for all of your wishes, all of your endeavors. So the first house lord of the D11 chart and its dignity will definitely give you information. Now second thing is that you have to definitely look at the 11th house, what kind of information you can get to know looking at the 11th house of the D11 chart. Now trust me friends, the individual way of looking at the 11th house is that if you will find any planetary presence, that is going to be a very strong indication that your gains are somehow connected with or comes in the purview of that planetary vibration. Like trust me, if I were to share my own D11 chart, I have a Leo rising in the D11 chart, and I have Venus being placed over there in the 11th house of my D11 chart. So that is one parameter which you cannot overlook. So first thing is that you have to see the first house of the D11 chart, the dignity and strength of its lord. Then you have to look at the 11th house of the D11 chart, what all planets are being present over there, and if there is no planet being present in the 11th house of the D11 chart, which all planets are aspecting that house and in which state or dignity the 11th house lord of your D11 chart is placed. Now friends, when we talk about other areas, so definitely you have to see the relation between the main ascendant chart of yours and the way it is corresponding with the your D11 chart. So most importantly friends, that you have to see that the first house of the D11 chart has become from which house energy of your main Rashi chart, like the way I gave my example. So if I am Aries rising in the main Rashi chart and my rising sign in the D11 chart is of Leo, so that in itself tells about that the gains or the heartbeat of my D11 chart is coming out of the 5th house of my main Rashi chart, which could indicate towards interest or gaining out of spiritual austerities, which could also indicate towards gaining some mastery over mantras, which could also tell about originality, creativity, art, entertainment. So a lot of ways you can correlate or you can study the relation between the main ascendant chart and the D11 chart. Now friends, when we talk about the dark areas or the vulnerable side of this chart, so just because friends, if you will apply the concept of Bhavad Bhavam, so in the main Rashi chart as well, because 11th house is 6th house from the 6th house of enmity, of health related concerns, challenges and threats on the count of enemies. So because of which this chart can also give you this indication that are you going to be very much vulnerable towards challenges and threats on the account of enemies or any of the major health related concerns as well. And also friends, because if you will even look at the 11th house in your main Rashi chart as well, because it is 8th house from the 4th house of your main natal chart. And friends, at the end of the day, no matter how much success you have attained in the life, the peace of mind, domestic life and emotional mental stability is something which is equally important for everyone. And the 8th house influence in any way is always a matter of concern. We all want to get all of our wishes fulfilled, but not at the cost of asking for something which is going to have very negative repercussions for our future or for our emotional mental peace. So because of which friends, if I were to say that when we talk about apart from the houses which we have just discussed, that you have to see in the D11 chart, that you have to see the dignity of the first house lord in the D11 chart, you have to see the dignity of the 11th house and the 11th house lord in the D11 chart, but also you have to individually look at the placement of Jupiter and Moon in the D11 chart as well. Jupiter, because definitely Jupiter is the significator of all sort of gains, all sort of expansion, and Moon because here we are also talking about emotional, mental health, well-being as well. So because of which these are the additional two planets which you have to give kind of a very special attention while looking at their placement and the kind of influence they are receiving in your D11 chart. Now friends, when we talk about the overall conclusion, before I will switch to the reference charts and case studies, so definitely the moment you will open up your D11 chart, so you have to first see that which sign is rising over there in the first house of the D11 chart. That is going to give you this indication that the nature of gains, and here you have to make use of your astrology knowledge, your instincts, that can you correlate with the sign which is rising right over there in the first house of your D11 chart, and how it is communicating, how that wire is connected with your main Rashi chart. Like the way I gave my example, I can fairly correlate with the Leo energy being rising right over there in my of the D11 chart. Second thing is that friends, like the way the principles which are widely accepted in the D11 chart assessment is that if you will find benefic planetary presence in the first house of the D11 chart, second house, fifth house, ninth house, 10th house, 11th house, this can be seen as a very good sign. And if you will find the malefic planetary presence like in the first house of the D11 chart or the 8th house of the D11 chart, that is not a very good sign, and that become more adverse, that if you have found any malefic planet, that too in a strong affliction. So let's say for example, as we all know this thing, that for the Gemini rising and the Virgo rising people, like Mars becomes a very like a malefic planet for these guys. So now if you will find Mars to be placed in the first house or the 8th house of your D11 chart and rising sign being of Mercury, then this can actually create lot of hurdles, lot of obstacles, and that will become more potent if you will find that even the D11 charts first house lord is also weak. So that is how friends you have to see. So now friends, these are the few things which I want to mention, and one single pointed focus which you have to give is around the 11th house of the D11 chart. Now friends, that's very simple. Like if you will find the placement of Sun over here, that can be seen as a very good sign for gain of reputation, any sort of fulfillment of your high ambitions, getting support from the important people in the society, in the community, like all those people who win a Nobel Prize and reach the top of their career. So that can be a very good sign for that. Second thing is that if you will find Moon to be placed in the 11th house of the D11 chart, so this can give little bit of the fluctuation on the account of the financial flow. But when we talk about deriving the support from like kind people, good hearted friends, so that can be seen as a good sign. Now if you will find Mercury to be placed over here, that is a very good sign. There couldn't be any other planet which is more beneficial for our financial success, commercial success other than Mercury. And over here Mercury can also give you very wide circle of friends as well. Now friends, if you will find Mars to be present over here, so now we have to take into consideration what is the occupation of the native. If you are in any sort of athletic field, or you are in any sort of technology governed field, then definitely Mars's placement in the 11th house can be a very good sign for that. And friends, the placement of Venus is very good for overall prosperity, overall gain and harmony in the life. Jupiter's placement will definitely protect you from any of the concerns of debts, and you will be well guided by the important, well established people, whether it's in your profession or whether in any walk of life. Now friends, when we talk about from Saturn's perspective, this can actually make you kind of little bit loner, but Saturn's placement in the 11th house of the D11 chart is a very good placement for like achieving something concrete and big in the life. Now this could be if you have any philanthropic, humanitarian goals, or you want to do something very good in the fields of like politics and all of that. So Saturn's placement is very good regarding that front. But as you know friends, Saturn just demands for a lot of discipline and patience. So those are the ingredients or traits which you have to abide by. And lastly friends, trust me, individual placement of Rahu and Ketu in the 11th house of the D11 chart can actually give Raj Yoga kingly combination to the highest of the state. So okay friends, now after getting an overview of the D11 chart, now we will take up the case of certain celebrities, and we will try to see the resonance of the D11 chart coming in their life. So now friends, first is the chart of the Muhammad Ali. So definitely it's not only me, all over the world everyone appreciate and respect this guy because of his determination, because of his strong will, and over and above that whatsoever, and the way he used his success in order to help and uplift lot many people. So now friends, definitely if you will look at his ascendant chart, so he has a Cancer rising. So we all know that if you actually want to do something good in the lines of philanthropy and all of that, so unless and until you do not have a strong influence coming in from the lunar energy, you might not be able to empathize and relate with other people's plight. So friends, over here we have to individually look at the placement of the ascendant lord, which is well placed in the 7th house, which is also a very good sign for having a very good public life and career. And second thing is that because if you have to be such a strong-willed athlete, you have to have strong Mars in your case. So as you can see in his 10th house, his Mars is well placed conjunct with Saturn. So Saturn's debilitation is getting cancelled because of being conjunct with Mars over there. But that in itself tells about that a professional undertaking will be flavored with or will be surrounded by a lot of competition, lot of heated energy. Now friends, if you will open up his D11 chart, so now friends, the principles which I just explained, you have to individually see that which sign is rising in the D11 chart, and second thing is that what kind of planetary influence you can see in the 11th house. So now friends, first of all, as you can see that his D11 chart communicates or connects with his Lagan chart with the 12th house energy. So again, when we talk about philanthropy, we talk about scandals, all that hidden energy, we can fairly see the resonance coming in over here. Second thing is that friends, if you will see that the 11th house lord's placement in the D11 chart, so 11th house lord is the planet Mars, which is debilitated in the 2nd house. So now friends, in his case, if you will actually look at his professional career, so like people used to call him as, apart from his greatness which he proved at the latter part of his life, but people used to say him that more than his boxing rounds or within the boxing arena, he was known for like making very fiery speech in his interviews. So you can fairly see that the 11th house lord is getting debilitated in the 2nd house. So energy, aggression, now you can say and look at it in so many different ways, because when we talk about the show business, what might be your weak point that might work out in your favor in the latter part of your professional career or your professional journey. So definitely friends, at his professional front, the Martian energy or the prospect of his gain could be somehow very intimately is connected with his speech, with the way he managed his finances as well, for the charities, for the philanthropy, the way he used his success. And definitely friends, even if in the D11 chart, because I am primarily looking at this chart from the perspective of the success for the all sort of gains. So you can see that Sun is very strongly placed in his D11 chart in the 3rd house, but it is conjunct with Rahu as well. So he has always troubles with the authority, which you can fairly see over here. So now friends, as you can fairly understand, because here we are talking about the ultimate outcome, ultimately what you attain, what you become in the life. And when we talk about anything to do with the philanthropy, being known as a fighter, as a humanitarian, so definitely we have to see the placement of Aquarius sign. So in his D11 chart, if you will see in the 9th house, you can fairly see Saturn being placed over there conjunct with Mercury and Ketu. So we can fairly see, and I still remember friends, like some of his quotes are so inspirational. I do not know the today's young generation, have you come across or have you searched of any of the Muhammad Ali quotes on Google or not, but trust me, if you will actually read all those quotes given by him, it will definitely fill you with energy and will actually motivate you to the best of your capabilities. So now friends, now we will move to the next reference chart. So next reference chart is of a controversial athlete, golfer, which is Tiger Woods. So definitely friends, we all know that he, because of his talent, because of his determination, he reached the peak of his chosen sport. But he also, his career also get surrounded by a lot of scandals, controversies, which have a lot of sex scandals and all those issues of sexuality being a part of that. So now how you can see that information or those traces coming in from the D11 chart. So now friends, let's open up his main ascendant chart first. So friends, as you can see over here that his moon is conjunct with Venus, that too moon being debilitated in the third house. So friends, like definitely we all need the support of the Mars, specifically for the athletes and people in competition sports and all of that. You cannot succeed unless and until you're not getting support from the Mars. But in his case, just because Mars is expecting a debilitated moon as well, so whatsoever pressure is coming in towards your personality, the outburst or the release of that, you might look forward to that, passion, intimacy, sexuality as a release for all of that, because Venus is very strongly conjunct with a debilitated moon over there. And second thing is that friends, definitely his Jupiter is well placed in the 7th house. That might be a reason for his success. But if you will open up the D9 chart, you will see that Jupiter is debilitated in the 1st house of the D9 chart. Second thing is that, see friends, this is how we get to know about that whatsoever we see on the surface. What is the truth behind that? So the way Jupiter was looking very dignified in the 7th house, and now the irony is that Jupiter is well placed in the 7th house of marriage, and he was made a epicenter of all the controversies because he cheated his partner. So you can fairly see that the same planet is losing out all its strength, that too in the 1st house of the D9 chart. Second thing is that friends, if you will even see that he has Saturn being placed in the 11th house of his main ascendant chart. Now friends, Saturn is generally considered as very good in the 11th house. It can actually take you to the peak of your chosen field. But Saturn is placed in an enemy sign in the 11th house. Second thing is that friends, Saturn demands a lot of discipline. Like Saturn actually wants you to live your life as per the principles of, or the principles on which Muhammad Ali lived his life, the chart which we just discussed before him. Now friends, see the two similarities. They both were good in their chosen sport. One person might not be remembered with as much as of the respect the way we remember like Muhammad Ali. So the only reason for that is that he actually made use of his success, of his greatness to help the people, uplift the downtrodden. And as you can see in his case, just because he did not know how to handle or channelize his success and how to make use his success to help other people, so Saturn became a reason for fall from the grace. Now friends, if you will open up the D11 chart of Tiger Woods, so you can fairly see over here friends. Now first of all, you have to see that the way the D11 chart's 1st house is communicating or getting related with your main Rashi chart. So the energy of the 1st house of the D11 chart is straight away getting connected with the 3rd house of your main ascendant chart. So that in itself means that gains connected through your skill. Second thing is that, like the way I gave this principle that the malefic presence in the 1st house, in the 8th house of the D11 chart is never considered as very auspicious. So we have a very strong Mars being placed over there in the 1st house, which as you can freely see friends, like even in his main Lagan chart, Mars was not a very auspicious planet for him. Second thing is that friends, if you will even look at over here that in the 11th house, so in the 11th house friends, you can see that Mercury is the lord of the 11th house, and Mercury has gone 12 places ahead of it, being placed in the 10th house. So definitely friends, he was very good in his chosen craft. But even if you will open up the chart of his ultimate gains in the life, so you can see that Venus is again placed in the 12th house and Moon is being covered by Rahu in the 9th house. So morality and your ethics has always been in question. And as you know friends, that when we talk about whenever the life comes hard on us, so it is only the placement of Moon, individual scrutinization of the Moon, which will give us this indication that if the pressure is gonna come high on you, what is going to be your vent of release. Like for this chart, it is straight away giving this indication that the person will definitely look forward to flings, sexual relations outside of his marriage in order to find that release for his energies. Had it been some chart where moon is getting benefited because of the positive influence of being conjunct with Jupiter or any other benefic influence, then that person might have also opted a different approach. Now friends, even if you will look at the Lagan chart, so Jupiter is definitely aspecting the moon, but Jupiter is not that strengthened because Jupiter is debilitated in the D9 chart. And as you can see over here friends, because when we talk about the influence on the moon, so definitely the planet which is conjunct with it, that planet definitely is going to be coloring up the personality or your thought process more compared to the planet which is aspecting from the far, which has got a very weak roots or weak foundation. So okay friends, now the last reference chart is of the Bill Gates. So now just because here I am talking about a chart which is a chart of wealth and everything and greatness as well, so how can we not include Bill Gates charts? So friends, as you can see over here in his main ascendant chart, so we have Cancer rising, and Jupiter is very well placed in the second house. So that in itself tells about that wealth gained from the righteous reasons, and the way you utilize that is definitely going to be in a strong dignity, because Jupiter has got a strong say even in the 10th house of his D9 chart as well. And if you will see, the rising sign of the D9 chart is the Leo. Now friends, one more thing which I want to highlight over here is that because in his Lagan chart as well, in the third house we have Mars and Mercury being conjunct, and Mercury is exalted. So definitely for all those people who are, because he was a pioneer in his field, and all those people who are connected with the fields of technology, coding, software and all of that, so Mars plays a very important role. Mars plays an important role, third house plays an important role, fifth house plays an important role, Rahu plays a very important role, and Rahu is also very well placed over here in the fifth house. So definitely friends, looking at the chart, you can definitely get to know that the kind of success which he attained in the life. And friends, if you will even look at his fourth house, he has Saturn, Venus and Sun being conjunct over there. The debilitation of the Sun is getting cancelled, and as you can see that Saturn is because exalted and it is conjunct with Venus as well. So regarding the being rooted in your profession, in your causes and all sort of comforts, conveniences, riches, luxury, that is straight away coming out in his main ascendant chart. Now friends, if you will look at his D11 chart, so now friends, first of all to begin with, if you will see the sign rising over there right in the first house, so we have Aquarius rising over there. Now friends, Aquarius is getting connected with the 8th house of his main ascendant chart. So the gains are popping out, if you will look at it in a very microscopic way, from the 8th house of your main Lagan chart, which has everything to do with the sudden discovery, big gains and research, exploration, being a pioneer in your chosen field. So all that energy we can see over here. Now friends, he has Sun and the Saturn, a Parivartan yoga taking place in his first house and the 7th house axis. So a lot of answerability to the society, to the world at large, and helping and being engaged with the philanthropy on a very bigger way, we can fairly see over here coming in his D11 charts, first house and the 7th house axis. Now friends, if you will look at over here in his 11th house, he has the axis of Rahu and Ketu in a very dignified way. So because friends, because even in his D9 chart, which is the ultimate chart of the Dharma, so he has Ketu being placed over there in the first house, and in the main Lagan chart as well, Ketu was there in the 11th house. So somehow his ultimate gains in the life is somehow connected with Ketu. So as you know friends, that Ketu is a very spiritual planet. Ketu believes more in sharing and sacrificing and giving for the higher cause. So because these days you can come across many videos on YouTube and documentaries where now people even question Bill Gates' true authentic intentions behind all the philanthropy which he has conducted in his complete entire life. But looking at his charts, in his all of his details, I can say this thing with confidence that the person is actually very authentic with all of his intentions and all of the work which he has done as a part of the charity in all across the world. And friends, as you can also see over here, that in the D11 chart, the 11th house lord, which is Jupiter, it is getting debilitated in the 12th house. So now again friends, when we talk about the individual planetary presence of Jupiter in the 9th house and in the 12th house is a very good sign for anything to do with the spirituality, for philanthropy, for higher consciousness, wisdom perspective. Trust me friends, Jupiter in the even if Jupiter is going to get weak, whether in the 9th house or the 12th house, it might not be very good for your material success perspective, but definitely whatsoever you will lose, because 12th house energy is all about losing. Now you can lose something for gaining wisdom, or you might end up losing things for in the form of bad debts, bad investment, wrong association, wrong choices in the life. So in his case, you can fairly see that all of that assets which he has, or all the charities which he has done, he always had a higher picture or goal or vision within his mind. So definitely friends, moon being placed in the 9th house in the D11 chart, at the beginning of this video I already mentioned this thing, that individually in the D11 chart we have to see the dignity of moon, Jupiter, your D11 first house lord and the 11th house lord. So all the things in synchronicity coming and indicating towards this only, that a person who has gained, this is the ultimate chart of gains in the life. So here we can fairly see technology, innovation, charity, philanthropy, and owing a lot in this lifetime to the world in the form of charities and the philanthropy. So this is something friends which I wanted to say as a part of my take, my inputs on this important D11 chart, Rudransh chart, for all of you guys. For furthermore updates and notifications on the divine science of Vedic astrology, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and like my Facebook page. Dhanyawad.